You know, I've watched a lot of Denzel's movies, and honestly, that man is the greatest of all time. What's up, guys? It's your boy Midnight. I'm back again with another review for Flights. Now, I remember seeing this in theaters, and I hadn't watched it in a while, but I remember loving it, loving Denzel's performance. I know the movie was, at points, a little slow at points, but nevertheless, I was thoroughly entertained the entire time. Also, before I continue, make sure that you get over to the W Energy store. Use my code OneSmoothHow for 10% off. You too can have a cup just like this right here. As you see, my Panda cup. And all types of energy products that you can get there. Different flavors for you in the store. Awesome. They taste great. Leave you jitterless. Stay energized. You don't get that shaking crackhead feeling. But yes, so let's get into this. So Flight, Denzel plays Captain Whitaker, a pilot for these I think it's fictional airline Southjet, and he is a struggling alcoholic. I mean, bad. Like when you see his house at points when he says he's about to quit, and all the bottles and cans that this man had, it's nuts. But anyway. So one fateful morning, he takes off, goes on this flight, 52 minutes to Atlanta. He's coming from Florida, I believe. Gets into it with his wife his ex-wife, over the phone, and takes off. Right. So he goes in there at points. You can see him pouring drinks while the passenger, obviously, is somewhere where the passengers can't see and nobody else in the crew can see. He's pouring himself drinks constantly, and he gets them through this really bad turbulence. It's a storm going on. Gets them up in the air, and boom, they're fine. Then all of a sudden, after a while, there's some system failure. And Denzel has to use his ingenuity, or his character Whip has to use his ingenuity to be able to land the plane appropriately by inverting it so that it will glide to ease it, and then flip it back so that way they can brace for landing. It's insane. The story, the entire movie, really, it really is amazing because Whip's fight. He has several fights to restore himself. Fights against his alcoholic demons. Fights against the NTSB, who is looking into the situation because, they have to after plane accidents, and he's dealing with them, trying to pretty much clear his name and say that he was not drunk, or him being intoxicated, because the toxicology report came back positive. Him being intoxicated had nothing to do with the plane's function. Everything was about the plane's function, regardless of him being drunk or not. Now, I am not saying that it is okay to go and fly a plane drunk. It's not okay at all. But that is where we see the fight taking place, because although he was drunk, that had nothing to do with the plane's malfunction. He still landed the plane and saved the lives of 96 people out of 102, which is insane. Insane. And, NTSB is on him because, there are 6 deaths that have to be looked at. And Whip says it best himself. He's like, look, had it not been for him, had it not been for his ingenuity, that plane crash, any other pilot would not have been able to do it. His lawyer, played by Don Cheadle, says that there were so many simulations completed by other pilots that none of them were able to do it. None. And Bruce Greenwood, who was technically like his, he's in the union, he's kind of pretty much friends, trying to advise him, look, you gotta lay low. You can't do the alcohol, no drugs, none of that. But Whip is struggling. It's a demon. He's wrestling with it. And it's hard. It's hard. Alcohol is an addiction that a lot of people struggle with, and it is extremely difficult. And then all the way to the end, we see Denzel, he's covering it up. He's not, telling anybody about it. It's like, okay, fine. I won't say anything about it in court. And, when the hearing goes down, I won't say anything about it because he could serve some serious time for that. Eventually, he ends up telling the truth about it, which is one of the best scenes, hands down, in the movie. He was drunk. He said, I'm drunk right now. Drunk right now. Like, he couldn't stop. But the thing was, he had no self-control. He depended on it so much. And it was almost like, you only think that, well, I can function. I'm okay. I don't need your help. And he's rejecting help from everybody so much. He even meets this girl played by Kelly Riley, who was awesome, plays Beth in Yellowstone. Which I forgot that she was in this movie. Completely forgot she was in this. And John Goodman in this movie, great surprise as Whip's drug dealer, he's hilarious in this. He really is. So when he comes in, it's like he always lightens the mood. It's great. So Kelly Riley's character, what was her name? I want to say for the moment, you know what? Let's look this up. Give me 1 second. Cannot remember her name off the top of my head. Flight movie. Hold on. And yes, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Had to mention that for sure. Now, Kelly Riley's character, Nicole. Yes, that's right. So Nicole, they meet up because she OD'd earlier in the movie, and they all happen to be in the same hospital. And, this cancer patient, he comes up, he's like, well, God brought us together for some odd reason. And throughout the rest of the movie, you see Nicole and Whip kind of together, in a way. And she wants nothing more than for him to get help. She's already struggling herself with her heroin addiction. And she's looking actively to get help. But Whip is just all over the place. Like, he's not forming. He has no relationship with his son. Him and his ex-wife had a falling out a while ago. And you just see the ripple effects of what his alcoholism was doing and how it was breaking all these bridges and causing all this damage to all these relationships that he had. And he just was too prideful to realize it. And pride comes before the fall. So eventually it's like, well, time right now. And he said at the hearing, God help me. Ellen Block, played by Melissa Leo. She says, well, what did you say? I said, God help me. Because he could not tell another lie. And then you hear his story while he's in jail. Just saying exactly what he was going through, telling all these other guys about it. And if you pay attention closely, there's somebody in the background who's not paying attention, who just doesn't seem to really care about what's being said, which I thought was like, why are you not paying? This is wisdom being poured out to you. Listen, young man, listen, and you too shall be free. so it was just incredible. It was just really, I just loved his performance in this. And the story overall, just phenomenal. I love the dialogue, honestly carries it because there's not really a lot of action, but you have a lot of actors that are together that have this camaraderie that, and the dialogue carries the story alone. It's phenomenal. Well done, Mr. Zemeckis. And I know a lot of people give Robert Zemeckis a lot of heat, but he's made some really good movies and he's made some not so good ones. But Flight is definitely one of the best ones. Was also gave Denzel an Oscar nomination for his performance. I mean, he was great. He's just magnetic. Like, you just can't stop watching him no matter what he's doing. And him and Don Cheadle's back and forth, I just ate that up. Those two I would love to see them do another movie together because their chemistry the entire time, their back and forth was just so you're just caught up in it because Denzel's like he's the immovable object and Don Cheadle's the unstoppable force. Like, he's telling him, like, look, man, I'm telling you, this is what we have to do. 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 Try to say that 5 times fast. And Denzel was like, nah, I'm here. Do you know who I am? Like, okay. All right, I'm not doing that. Like, who do you think you are? Like, I landed that plane. Okay. Like, I landed that plane. Did you land that plane? Because I landed that plane. Like, that's that whole back and forth that they have going on here. And all Don Cheadle's character is trying to do is help him out. And he just wants to keep him from going to jail. He's like, you will serve some serious time for this. And for a while, Denzel, his character's not taking it seriously. I mean, at one point you think that he's doing all right. The next minute he's stumbling drunk over. 1 minute, 8 days he's gone without it. Then all of a sudden he walks in the other part of the hotel room, sees this other this other fridge loaded with alcohol in there. Whose room that was, I have no idea. It's just loaded with alcohol. He just goes into town on it, just drinks everything in there. And he just sells it. He's so well. I mean, he's avoiding the public. Doesn't want to be interviewed by the news because he doesn't want to give away the fact or slip that it seems as if he's under the influence of something. Like he's doing everything he can to just get away from it, to avoid it altogether. And eventually, at some point, he had to stop running. It's like what Johnny Cash said in his song. You know, you can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. So no later God's going to cut you down. And eventually, it's like, God help me. Cut him down. Like, you gotta tell the truth, man. And he did. And he ended up like serving like 5 years for it. And it's crazy how this movie came out, and then not that long after Sully came out, some years later, with Tom Hanks, directed by Clint Eastwood, which really was pretty funny to me. Because for a while the 90s was Denzel and Tom Hanks, and even still, you could still, because they came up in that same actor class, you could still say in a way there is still kind of that Tom Hanks Denzel dynamic. I mean, they were together in Philadelphia, but like a lot, those two are two of the all-time greats, and Denzel, to me personally, is the greatest of all time. I look up to Denzel. I admire Denzel as an actor. I really just I watch everything he does, and it's just magnetic. Like the guy, it's almost like he can do no wrong. Like he can do no wrong at all. It's incredible. So that's for Flight was just, I love this movie. It's phenomenal. Gotta give it. Honestly, I give it 5 out of 5 full moons. I mean, really, it really is Denzel's performance that really carries all of it. I mean, like all the performances are great in this. Don't get me wrong, but Denzel, he just uplifts this to a whole nother level. Playing this pilot, he's cocky, he's got this swag, but he also has these demons that he's struggling with, and you see that vulnerability, and you see how the alcohol can like cause these snaps in his mind where he gets really aggressive all of a sudden, and he's saying things that really shouldn't be said. That's like, dang, that was cold, man. He's like not accepting help. You go to an AA meeting, you're feeling uncomfortable, like something is vexing your spirit to the point where you're like, man, it's just, but you're running away from it. It's almost like the biblical story of Jonah. Okay, God tells him, hey, look, I need you to deliver a message, and you got to go to Tarsus. He's like, no. I'm sorry, not Tarsus. He's got to go to Nineveh. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. He wants to go to Tarsus instead. Storm comes. Whales, he tossed overboard. Whale swallows him. Stuck in there for 3 days. Eventually has to go to Nineveh. Like at some point, you have to listen. You have to realize that you got to stop what you're doing and listen to what God is telling you. And pretty much it's really brilliant. I love this movie. It's phenomenal. Like I said, 5 out of 5 full moons. Let me know what you all thought of that review. If you haven't watched Flight, go watch Flight. Honestly, it's one of the best movies that Denzel has ever done. Straight up, like straight up. So guys, comment, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go on ahead to the W Energy store, see what you can get there. Use my code OneSmoothHowl for 10% off, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. Remember, one pack, one nation, one smooth howl. I'm going back to studying because I have exams tomorrow and I'm losing my mind. I had to take a break so I can talk to you guys, but I feel good now, so I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. I'm out.
Y'all gonna check me out at these here socials. I'll see you all in the next one. And by the way, make sure that you stay tuned for all types of content that I got going on at this here channel. Remember, one pack, one nation, one smooth hell.